You had a huge influence on me. As much as you might not think, Richard, but your influence on me, I would say, is 90% of the energy that got me going into the food world.
Welcome to Richard Haw's YouTube channel, which looks at what we can do today to make Hawaii Island a more sustainable place to live so our children and grandchildren and their grandchildren won't be priced out of here and will be able to stay in Hawaii and live good lives here. Today, Richard and I are talking to Alexey Katko. Welcome, Alexey.
Hello, hello.
We have been following Alexey's journey with food sustainability and especially a project he's working on with purple sweet potatoes. We've talked to him a couple times before, and there are videos with Alexey from August of 2024 and January of this year, 2025, if you want to look back and see how it all started and how it's been going to date.
So, Alexey, what's happening new from the last time we talked?
Oh, a lot has transpired. One of the biggest things since starting, everybody was telling me, Alexey, you got to build a team. You got to build a team around this purple potato. And for me this year, the biggest change was actually finding a team of people who are just as passionate and excited about food security, but also have skill sets that I totally don't have. A team of people who will be willing to put up the front end work in the hopes of that together with all our brains together, we can actually build a company. So that was the biggest shift that has happened.
Back us up and give us just a quick overview of why purple sweet potatoes and what started you on that mission for people who don't know.
It actually began on the chocolate, coffee, vanilla farm fields where I first started when I moved here 7 years ago, learning how much stuff we throw away. I was just like, why are we throwing this stuff away? Why don't we get creative and create value add products? And at that point, I was like, well, if cacao and coffee throws away so much stuff, why don't we try and make products? So I made some things in the chocolate world. I made some stuff in coffee world. I took the damaged coffee beans and made chocolate out of it. So mixed those two things together. And in the back of my mind, this thought was like, I wonder if there's more items out here that are thrown away at bigger scales on which you can actually build a strong foundation of food processing. Ever since I moved here, I met Richard soon after I met here, and we started talking about energy and food production here right off the bat. And so Richard has been like planting and watering that thought in my mind of food security. Then it was because of Richard, we had a impromptu meeting with a Okinawan sweet purple potato farmer. One day in the morning, Richard was like, "Hey, I have this meeting. You wanna tag along?" So I was like, "Sure." And at that lunch, the farmer just passively said, "Yeah, we have about 5 million pounds of potatoes that we throw away a year, grade B." I nearly choked on the bread I was eating. I still remember where I was sitting and what I was eating. That's when I really felt like the call was like, here it is. It was not until a little while later that I go to an actual potato farm and saw a picture of all the potatoes that are left behind. It was like, well, come to God moments, kind of situations where I was standing there and the thought just came to my mind. I will either figure out what we can do with all these potatoes or I will die trying. It wasn't a matter of maybe I try, kind of thinking it, I will figure it out, knowing zero about anything.
Now you're working on making dried sweet potato flakes that can be rehydrated. Is that right? Tell us what that looks like.
Yes. So the sweet purple potato, as I was learning more about it, the challenge of why we're not doing it here or pretty much anywhere in the world when it comes to sweet purple potato or just sweet potatoes in general is when you're dealing with a sweet potato or tuber, the processing end of it looks more like dealing with bananas, like a sweet product. Although machinery might look the same next to each other, how they're designed and how they function is totally different. And so like you could use a sweet potato, say sweet potato line for white potato flakes, but you can't go the other way. That's what was difficult to figure out, to find out how to do that. Last year, this very week, today, I was packing a pallet of 2,000 pounds of mashed potatoes, and it was being brought into a FedEx airplane and delivered to Buffalo. And tomorrow last year, I was going to fly out to Buffalo, New York to meet the potatoes in Buffalo and watch them do a big test. Could we do this or not at a larger scale? Up until us putting the sweet mashed potato into the machine, nobody knew if it was going to work or not. The guy that said he'll take a risk on running our product, the sweet potato, through, he said there's only two things that are going to happen. Either everything is going to work out very well, or the potato will go on too thick and it will crust up and it will damage our blade. But because we were the very last product to run run on that machine because they just bought a new one and they were gonna get the old one out and the new one in. And by stroke of luck and timing, not my timing, but it was just like the universe seemed to be just conspiring for it to happen. Where he's like, if it fails, we break the machine, we'll know. If it succeeds, we'll know.
Wow, that's amazing timing, isn't it? Wow.
Yes, one of the guys was standing at the button to shut off the machine if necessary. And I took a video where we were just like, okay, is this gonna work? Is this gonna work or not? Gonna work or not? And then in the background, you can hear us all like, woohoo, it's working. And that's how we found out that, yes, it's possible. So that's how the flakes came about. And we now know we can produce it at scale and at what pace it can be produced at.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I thought you were talking about mashed potatoes, but that is a part of the step to get to flakes, or what is that?
Yes, well, you have to take the potato, boil it whole, and then you can mash it, puree it. You can either make frozen mashed potato, or then you take that mash, you have to liquefy it, I mean, add a lot of water to it, put it onto the machine, and then it dries it almost instantly.
To become flakes, then those are shelf stable.
Yep, shelf stable for a couple of years. They could sit around.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And that was the coolest thing is the machinery is expensive to initially purchase. The lifespan that you just give the potatoes is from weeks to years. And so that's a big difference when it comes to food security and rations or creating like a safety net of food. It's storable. It's easy to use. It's very quick to consume. You can eat it dry, tastes like a snack dry, or you can reconstitute it with just water, with milk, with other white potatoes, do a 50-50 mix. Like you can do all sorts of things, but the fact that it can sit around so long, that's the biggest benefit for us.
So where are you at in terms of manufacturing or processing? Have you moved forward in that since we talked to you last?
Since we last talked, I partnered with a company here that's already processing food. We have a storage location, both fridge, freezer, if necessary for freezer, we have that now. But also the biggest thing is an actual location where we can launch from. So it's like, okay, now we got the place, we can do it. This is where we can build out. We got the area. And now we are at the point where we had a potential customer, a large customer, reach out to us a couple of weeks ago. And they're like, hey, we're really interested in your flakes. And the way things work in industry when you're working with bigger players is the time from when you first talk to them to purchase actual can take half a year to a year minimum. Last year, after I came back from Buffalo, New York, I gave this potential client a bunch of samples. And so now a year later, they're like, hey, we're interested. Okay. Because of this potential client, we're like, it will make sense to start shipping potatoes to Buffalo, New York for now, for them to produce the product. We get it back here while we ramp up and get the research, get the money to buy the machines to do everything here.
Oh, that's interesting. So you can actually get started with this other company in Buffalo while you're setting those up. And what's the plan with that? Are you starting? When does that happen?
Next week, we're gonna have an official meeting with the potential client, meaning in person. My team and I were flying out to Oahu, start discussions with them, and depending on what they say, because if they become a customer, that's gonna open up a door for a few other larger customers. And so if they say yes, then we're gonna start that whole process up.
Oh, that's exciting.
It is very exciting. I don't know what the other English is not my first language. I forget the English word. It's like nerve-wracking wouldn't be the right word, but exciting and just like nail-biting. Like, okay, even just shipping a container there and back, you're talking at least $100,000 worth of investment. And then you need to do 3 of those to have consistency. So I'm your at best average guy when it comes to just regular life. And so now when you're trying to start a company and you're talking about the average person makes $70,000, $80,000 a year, let's just say. And here we're talking about one container, 100 to 150 grand now times 3. Then you're building the facility, you got to get the machines. I'm like, my brain is just like, okay, but all I know is 2-3 years ago I was standing in front of a field and knew nothing about a purple potato, never seen a purple potato. And now there's a team of 4 of us who are just as passionate as myself. And I'm like, okay, life, well, I didn't get this far just to get this far. And it seems like life is playing along in ways I would have never seen. Even this customer calling us, potential customer.
Yeah, that's terrific. Richard, you've started companies. What do you have to say to Alexey at this point?
Well, the determination is a big deal. Not no can. I mean, that's what's driving Alexey. I can see that. The same thing when I started, so I see that in common. You know what curious about. Are you free to say who is on your team and what their expertise is? Besides the fact that they're driven and determined, which is very important.
Right now, exactly who they are, no, because I would have to confirm with them. But their expertise, that's I can definitely share with that. One is already in food manufacturing, and so has the networking connection. And when you're creating a company like this, that you don't start small, you kind of have to start pretty big right away. The fact that you can even produce it is almost irrelevant unless you can distribute it. So you have to figure out your distribution. So one of the partners is good at distribution. Another meeting that we're going to be having is connecting with another potential distributor for the whole state. The other team member, he has owned every kind of business he ever can think of, from food to real estate offices, bought, sold businesses, very well versed in how to bring things together and make them happen at the exact stage that we're at right now, which is the startup phase. And then the third person is finance management and operations management, who used to be working with startups in the tech world, but has just as much passion about food as well. So you have operations and finance management, you got overall business management and just how to get things going. And the third is industry expertise of both local production and food network here, as well as the distribution. And then myself, who I just say I'm the R&D guy and the people person. I was very, very blessed. It was very frustrating because I never had to put a team together. And there's a lot of people who show interest, but finding the right people with the right heart for me was more important than the skills. And so that was, I'll have to say, extremely lucked out into what Richard said. Just keep on talking to people, keep on talking to people, just keep on keeping on until you figure it out.
It sounds like you've got the pieces. I'll give you an example. To talk to somebody who knows me, probably thinks I did everything, but that's not true. If it wasn't for June, I wouldn't have anything. It takes people. I like the way, the different pieces are fitting together. That is very important. I'm curious, you were working on other things before. I was wondering if there's these kinds of things.
Yeah, I was working up until this year. I was in heavy R&D mode. So one of the big things that I've been developing is the skill set which is a skill set of creating new products. This year, I was able to create so many different things that I was just surprised, such as chocolate, for example. My brain is always creatively thinking, what can we do with the parts that are thrown away from the chocolate process? One of the things that I did this year that was pretty exciting is when you were making chocolate, we only end up using the inside of the bean. And I said, why don't I try to create a process that I use everything that's soft inside and create a chocolate with that? Is it possible? So I had to create a completely new method that I actually learned from the potato processing. And I said, let's see if this works. And over this last 6 months, I was able to develop a process that I can scale down as well as scale up very fast, producing chocolate, where typically right now it takes up to 90 days to go from tree to chocolate bar. And this process, the fastest I was able to do it is within 6 days. And the amount of space is maybe 5-10% of the space needed for processing. And it's a lot more hygienic. And then I said, wait a second, why don't we do something with the outside as well? So I actually ended up creating a drink out of it. I call it the island tea. The drink is the byproduct of boiling the outside shell of the cacao. And then at one point, I took the cacao pod itself that I now boiled, and I turned it into it's like a mix between a relish and a mustard. So it's something you'd put on a hot dog.
Wow.
And so for fun, I went to a hot dog stand and I said, hey guys, can you try this on your hot dogs? And they tried it. They're like, oh, this is awesome. Where can we buy this? I'm like, not yet. Something happened this year in my brain, or call it the universe or whatnot, that I was able to come up with 6-7 different products. So all of a sudden, my brain was just like, woohoo! Now that I have a team together, it is awesome to see that they're like, okay, Alexey, it's cool that you have all these products. You obviously can create new products. All these products, mind you, are made from stuff that farmers throw away. Like the cacao pod, 100% of that stuff is thrown away. All the inside stuff is completely thrown away except for just the cocoa nib. We all came together and agreed that flakes is going to be our sole focus until we get that going and get the money coming in, so that then we have a clear path for production and creating other products. It's like, okay, let's focus on the flakes and make a company out of that, build a solid company. And then from there, we have a very clear path to a lot of other local products.
You're not a one-trick pony over there, Alexey. It's kind of interesting to hear.
As I've been doing the numbers on the stuff that we throw away, I realized that we have about close to 20 million pounds of stuff that we throw away that we can take and actually use and create into products that people can love and enjoy, actually.
That's impressive. Wow.
Yeah, I think it's great, and it fits into the big picture of where we exist here in Hawaii, sitting in the middle of the largest ocean in the world, depending on fossil fuel to import 90% of our food. To the extent that we can make ourselves more self-sufficient, which is what Alexei is talking about, utilizing waste and innovative ways of using technology so that we can become more secure, that falls exactly in line with what the big picture of how I feel we need to go. So, Alexei, the next step is to, let's assume you get everything going and it's moving and it's doing everything you thought. Now, how do we get young people to buy in? How do we do that?
Getting into the food industry, into farming, into
I
processing.
I guess what I should say is this. How do we educate them so that they want to do what you're talking about? And when they get into it and they find themselves to be successful, then they can go to the next step. And the next step is we have to put in their brain, what is more important than being able to feed your own people? Nothing.
Yeah, I think, and I know this typically makes people feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to say it anyway. Exactly what you are doing is for us to replicate what you are doing more and more and more, which is capture these stories and share them with people. I used to live in Savannah, Georgia. I lived there because I wanted to learn what does it mean to actually pass on knowledge and information to people that can grow beyond you. And their saying was caught, not taught. And so by sharing like a video like this, life is caught, not taught. Their method of teaching and training was never book smart. It was come watch me what I'm doing and you'll learn through action. Videos like this right now and sharing the stories of what it's like and what it means is critical. One of my biggest things in my company, and by the way, I did officially start the company yesterday. We just launched our bank account. Our company is called Encouraging Foods. That is my mission here when it comes to food is I did not set out to start a company, and you had a huge influence on me. As much as you might not think, Richard, but your influence on me, I would say, is 90% of the energy that got me going into the food world because I wanted nothing to do with food. But because of our conversations and you're just sharing what you used to do and how important it is, it got my brain thinking. So Encouraging Foods, I started it not because I wanted to start a company or a business, but to create stories that are just undeniably there in your face. Like all these products that I shared a few minutes ago, we'll be able to create and launch them and actually make companies out of them. And like you said, farmers will farm if farmers can make money. And that's what I found out about the next generation. When they know that they could make a good living, a quiet, peaceful, good living for themselves, that they don't have to worry about money, but are able to use their creativity and create products or grow things and make things, they'll go into it. There's a saying that, or this concept, when societies succeed a lot and they really become successful, one of the unintended consequences is that people grow apart. People start hyper focusing on their own little things here, and then our connection is lost. But like you always share, the thing that brings us together is food. Try not to eat for a day. We have a word for that, and it's called hangry. If success brings us apart, not that success is bad or wrong, food can bring us back together. And to start sharing these stories, my mission is to then, beside starting a company that's successful, to prove to people here that we can make a good living off of grade B stuff that we throw away. It's like, wait a second, you make a living doing what? Like you're taking garbage and taking literal trash and making a success out of it? Yeah, we can do that, guys, because our only limiting factor is, as they say, what we have between these ears is how we think. So for me, this drink is from stuff that people throw away. Flakes, an incredible product that will have an impact on the state, 1 million, 2 million people, simply because of a slightly different thinking. And that's the story I want to share with people. And as you share that with the next generation, they get excited. It makes them think, well, if he could do it, I could do it. Well, what could I do? And then it's a cascading event then.
What Alexei is doing, there are other people doing different things, not necessarily in the same area, but the same general thought process is bringing us to a point in the future where we can all come together and contribute to being successful. I kind of see it growing here and there, and it's starting to develop just like what Alexei is talking about. It's pretty amazing. It's a really special point in time, in history.
It is. When we start on anything, our desire to give up is really high. And if anything I could suggest is keep on keeping on, like keep on going, because you will fail a lot. A couple days ago, I was having a conversation in my mind, like if somebody in 5, 10 years will ask me, how in the world did you ever make this happen? The reality is I found out all the ways you can fail, and the only thing that was left was the successful path. That might sound like a downer, but that's the reality. Like I didn't even know what a purple potato was. I've never seen a purple potato in my life, to declaring eventually I'll figure this out, to now there's a team of people. Of course, it's been 3 years already, but point is, it's like it's still moving forward. So just keep on going, keep on trying the next thing. It's easy to give up. That's why like the world becomes either a better place or a worse place, because those who had the ideas either stuck to it, better world. Those who gave up, just a little less better world. So just keep on keeping on until you figure it out. That's what will make us a lot more sustainable and a lot more flourishing here on the islands.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. My pop told us when I was 10 years old and my siblings were younger, he said, "A thousand reasons why no can. I'm looking for the one reason why I can." And that's exactly what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
What's the very next step for you now?
To raise the capital and to have a full functioning facility and to have a safe runway over the next 2 years to finally get into the black, into the profitable zone. We're going to have to raise about $5 million to get the whole facility going. And I've been saying it so much over the last couple of weeks that I'm like, oh yeah, totally doable. We'll figure it out.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
I don't know how, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, it sounds amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Alexey. Really, really interesting to hear where this is going. I feel like we're watching this film of something taking place and how, I mean, we are actually. I love it.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you again. And we thank everybody out there for watching. We will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Richard Ha's vlog. Ahui ho.